The battle is over. The army has won. The enemy is dead. But the soldiers are terrified to move forward. 500 soldiers are freezing in their tracks, staring at just one man. He is covered in blood. Dozens of arrows are sticking out of his armor, his arms, and his chest. He looks like a demon from hell. The soldiers wait for him to fall. They wait, and they wait. Finally, a brave soldier creeps up and touches the giant, but he just tips over stiffly and hits the ground with a heavy thud. He didn't fall because he was fighting. He didn't fall because he was alive. He had been dead for hours. He died on his feet, refusing to let death get past him. This is the legend of Benkei. To understand the man who could defy death, you first have to understand the monster. Saitō Musashibō Benkei was not born like other men. Legends say he was in his mother's womb for 3 years, and when he finally came out, he had a full set of teeth and wild hair. He grew to be over 6 feet tall, a giant, in an era when most men were barely 5 feet. He possessed the strength of 10 men and a temper that terrified even the bravest samurai. He became a warrior monk, but the temple life couldn't tame him. So he set out on a dark quest. He made a vow to collect 1,000 swords from warriors he deemed unworthy. Every night he would stand on the Gojo Bridge in Kyoto, a massive shadow waiting in the dark. One by one, samurai would try to cross, and one by one, Benkei would crush them and take their blades. He was unstoppable. He had collected 999 swords. He was just one victory away from completing his vow. He thought the final sword would be the easiest of all. But he had no idea that he was about to meet the only person on earth who could bring a giant to his knees. It was the night of the full moon. Benkei stood on the Gojo Bridge, his massive frame blocking the path, waiting for his 1,000th victim. But what he saw confused him. It wasn't a mighty samurai in heavy armor. It was a small, slender figure, playing a flute and wearing a veil. Benkei laughed. He swung his massive naginata, a weapon that could slice a horse in two, expecting to crush this fragile stranger in a single blow. But the blade hit nothing but air. The stranger didn't block. He vanished. In a blur of motion, the small warrior leaped into the night sky, landing lightly on the railing of the bridge. Then he jumped again, landing right on the tip of Benkei's spear. It was Minamoto no Yoshitsune. He moved like the wind, teasing the giant, humiliating him with speed that seemed impossible for a human being. Benkei roared and struck again and again, but he was fighting a ghost. For the first time in his life, the giant was exhausted. He collapsed, defeated not by strength, but by a skill he couldn't comprehend. He waited for the killing blow, but it never came. Yoshitsune lowered his weapon and extended a hand. In that moment, the demon monk died, and the loyal guardian was born. Benkei bowed his head to the ground and swore that from this night forward, his life belonged to this young lord. It was a vow he would keep until his final breath. Years passed, and the duo became legends of war. But heroes often have enemies closer to home. Yoshitsune's own brother, the jealous shogun, ordered his execution. They were eventually cornered at the Koromogawa mansion, surrounded by an army of 500 soldiers. There was no escape this time. Yoshitsune knew the end had come. He retreated inside the inner sanctum to perform seppuku, the honorable ritual suicide of a samurai. He had just one request for his loyal friend: buy me time. Do not let them pass until it is done. Benkei stood alone on the narrow bridge in front of the gate. He was the only thing standing between his master and the enemy horde. What followed was a massacre. Benkei fought like a man possessed, swinging his massive weapon with such fury that he smashed soldiers aside like dolls. The enemy realized they couldn't get close to him without dying, so they changed tactics. They ordered the archers to rain death from a distance. The sky turned black with arrows. They pierced Benkei's armor, his arms, and his chest. But he did not move. He stood firm, glaring at the enemy with eyes wide open. The shooting finally stopped, and a terrifying silence fell over the battlefield. The soldiers crept forward, trembling, afraid to approach the giant who refused to fall. But when a horse brushed against him, the truth was finally revealed. Benkei toppled over, hitting the ground with a heavy thud. He had been dead for some time, his body locked in place by rigid muscles and an unbreakable will. Even in death, he had kept his promise. In Japan, the legend of that day still lives on. There is a famous phrase, Benkei no Tachi Oju, which means Benkei's standing death. It describes a hero who never gives up, no matter the odds. It is the ultimate symbol of loyalty, a spirit so strong that it refuses to leave the body even after the heart has stopped beating. Benkei started his life as a monster who wanted to take 1,000 swords for himself, a chaotic force of nature who respected no one. But he ended it as a guardian who gave everything for just one man. In those final moments, he wasn't fighting for glory or for power or for his own life. He was fighting simply to keep a promise. He proved that loyalty isn't just about how you live, it's about how you die. And though his body finally fell that day at Koromogawa, his legend never did. He remains the giant who died standing, reminding us all that some bonds are stronger than death itself.